Hey guys, it's your girl Megan and I'm back with a video. Today I want to talk about why I'm no longer vegan and my experiences with veganism over the past 2 years as a vegan and basically what went wrong, quote unquote, and why I'm no longer a vegan. So I know I'm gonna get a lot of stuff about this video where there's gonna be some hate just because there's a lot of people who are going into the vegan movement and there's a lot of controversy over it. However, I feel obligated to make this video because I did promote veganism for a long time and I want to clarify what I believe it is about really and what I think people should be going vegan for and what they should expect when they go vegan, because it's definitely a huge life-changing decision, and there's a lot of different things that people don't realize going into it, and I had a lot of issues with it towards the end, even though I had a great time in the beginning of being vegan. So let's just get into it. So the reason that I went vegan was because I had eczema. So I had like a skin rash on my face and it wasn't going away. I tried like all these medications. I tried like doing antihistamines. I tried doing all these allergy tests. I tried doing things that were steroid creams that basically just like made my adrenals stop like creating inflammation. And throughout all of that, I still had this skin rash and it just was not going away. Like no matter what I did, it just like was not going away. So I had to resort to something else. And what I found was I found Dr. Morse. Now, Dr. Morse is a naturopathic doctor and he basically specializes in detox and detoxing people. And his whole basically philosophy is that everybody's a fruitarian and that fruit heals and that going on a fruit fast is going to heal you of basically anything, issues that you have, any ailments. And what that did was really good in the beginning because I went on a fruit fast, I did the herbs, and I started to follow his protocol for like a few months, and what happened was my skin rash went away. I ended up getting like my glowing skin back. It healed over. I felt great. I had a lot of energy. I was getting mucus out because he was really big about how we have old mucus in our body that our body like can't detox on its own, which is why we need to start like eating fruit, because fruits are so astringent and they'll pull out all these toxins from us. So I followed his protocol to the T. I was amazing at it. I got all of his herbs, I got all of his lymphatic formulas, and I read up on everything. I mean, I still know basically everything that he teaches. And it was awesome in the beginning. I was doing really well and I had a lot of energy. And then about a year into it, I started noticing that I had no more energy. I would have a really hard time getting up for work, and I worked like an 8 o'clock shift, 8 a.m. to like 5, and I could not wake up. Like, I would set like 5 alarms and I would just be so tired. I literally lost a job because I couldn't wake up and go to work. And then during work, for another job, I started to fall asleep in the middle of the day. Because I do graphic design, so I'd be like working on the computer and in a few minutes I felt like so exhausted from just being on the computer all day, and I had to stop and I had to take naps in the middle of the day. Like there was like a couch like in the hallway of our office complex, and like it wasn't really meant for like sleeping or napping, but on my lunch break I would literally go to that couch and sleep because I had no energy at that time. And what I thought was like the problem was that I had like some issues with my adrenal glands. And adrenal glands control your cortisol growth steroids and they control your energy. So I did have issues with my adrenals, but the thing is I wasn't gonna help these issues by detoxing, because the glands specifically with my kidneys. I knew that I had these issues. They were just weaker organs, and with Dr. Morse, he does a lot of like iridology, so you can look into someone's eyes and you can see their entire body like mapped out in their eyes, and it's crazy because it's really accurate. And it did show that I have a very weak left kidney, which is accurate, and I've had that tested with renal tests and things, and it's accurate. But the thing is, when I was doing all this detox, I was basically giving my adrenal glands like a rest from all the protein and from all the stimulation that they were going to have if I was going to eat meat and stuff like that. Thing is, after a while of just giving those adrenal glands a rest, they can't rebuild on their own. They need meat, they need basically glands. And what Dr. Morse does is he prescribes glandulars, which are organ glands for people, so that they can take these glandulars and rebuild those organs, because basically his ideology behind that is that it's like a stem cell, so the cells regenerate based on those cells from the glands that you're taking. So that's what he was doing, and that's not vegan. So what happened was I started to take the adrenal glandulars, which basically isn't really vegan, but they helped a lot. And that's when I started to notice that my energy was coming back. My energy levels were getting really high. It was around that time that I was also noticing that I had a lot of like deep bags, like deep dark circles underneath my eyes. And I'm pretty young, and I don't really have like, I never had issues with under eye bags. I've always had like nice under eyes where I didn't need like concealer, but this was getting really bad to the point where even with concealer, you could tell my eyes were just like sunken into my skull, and I just looked tired like when I wasn't tired. And I got kind of worried, and again, looking into Dr. Morse and everything like that, I found that it was because my kidneys were weak. So I started to do a lot for my kidneys. I started to take uva ursi, lots of herbs, fasting, more fruit fasts, things like that. And it was not really helping. I felt like I was at a stalemate. I felt like I was looking like I was aging, like my cheeks lost their fullness. Like I looked much older than I am. And I was just starting to get worried that I had been detoxing too long. And even Dr. Morse says to people, you know, like it's a temporary thing to detox. It's not meant for like your whole life. It's meant when you're done with whatever you had as an ailment, then, you know, you could go back, you can eat steak. He even says, you know, to eat steak once a week and things like that, because that's protein and that's rebuilding, and that's what's going to rebuild you. And there's no protein in fruit. There just isn't. There's no way around that. So you're missing a ton of vitamins. But what I think of it is it's a cleanse. It's a fast, basically. It's a prolonged fast. And if you want to do it because you have like issues with your skin, or you have some type of a cancer, or you have UTI or something like that, it's amazing. I got rid of so many UTIs using his protocol. Because I have weak kidneys, so I'm prone to that type of thing. And I still use that basis today. However, you're going to experience a ton of mineral loss, basically, because you're not getting certain vitamins like vitamin A. You're not going to be able to convert vitamin A from beta carotene into vitamin A. Nobody can convert that. And you're not going to get vitamin K, which is hugely important for bones. Another thing I noticed is that about 2 years into veganism, I had like cavities. I had like 6 cavities or something crazy. And I wasn't eating any processed food. I wasn't eating any sugar. Guys, I was doing like mainly fruit and mainly raw vegetables, and like a little bit of millet pasta, which isn't very grainy. It's not like a wheat, you know. It doesn't have gluten. So I was doing all of that, and I noticed that I was still having so many issues. So basically about 2 years in, I just bit the bullet, and I decided I'm just gonna try some salmon. And I went out with my mom, and we like went to our old favorite salmon restaurant, and we ordered the salmon lunch with the sushi, and she got salmon and I got salmon. And as soon as I bit into the salmon, I felt just a lot better. Like, I felt energy coming back to me, and I felt like just a little euphoria, like just good. And I didn't jump from that to like eating meat a lot. So I was still kind of like trying to work with the veganism and trying to make it work. So I went and I got a hydrocolonic, and a hydrocolonic is basically, for lack of a better explanation, it's when they shoot water up your butt and it takes out like waste, and you it goes all the way through your whole intestines, and it just like flushes out that waste, and you're able to watch it on the screen like behind glass, like as you're lying down and they're doing it to you. So it's a crazy experience. But I was basically doing it because I wanted to, you know, clean out my colon. I was detoxing, and I just wanted to, you know, give a last ditch effort to see if maybe my health problems, my under eye bags, my exhaustion was due to something in my colon, you know, or something like that. So I went to the the hydrocolonic, and it lasted for about an hour. And the woman basically said to me that while she was doing my colon, she saw that there was a ton of undigested broccoli and undigested plant matter in my colon. And it basically wasn't broken down. So she basically told me, like, don't eat any more raw broccoli because you're not able to digest it. And I chalked it up to, okay, well, I have a weak pancreas. Like, I already know that from Dr. Morse's stuff and, like, all the detox. So I was like, you know, I have a weak pancreas. You know, it's fine. I'll just do that. But then basically she was like, no one can really digest plants that well. And she sees this all the time, that it's mainly what gets stuck in our colons is fiber. And so I asked her about like mucoid plaque and things like that, and she basically says like that's like good mucus that's like meant to cover your gut and to help it from getting like infected. And I was like, okay, interesting. And then I asked her about like eating meat, because I was like, I'm vegan, you know, I don't eat meat because it doesn't digest, and it's just harder for the body to break it down, right? And she was kind of like, no, it's not really like that. It's just because meat is broken down instantly in your transverse colon, and we don't see any old meat matter in your hydrocolonic. And I'm like, you know, you're right. Like, there was no old meat. There was nothing like that. All that was coming out of me was undigested plant matter. It was green stuff. So I was kind of like thinking about that on my way home. And then when I was trying to think about, you know, stopping being vegan for a long time, and I just kind of planted a seed. So basically after that, I found a couple people on YouTube who were speaking out against veganism. One of their names is Sfarage, and one of their names is Frank Tufano. And they were basically speaking out saying that, you know, veganism is really unsustainable. It's going to result in a lot of aging for you. And they gave a lot of evidence for this. They broke down basically all the vitamins that you're missing from a vegan diet. And they started showing people's basically journey through veganism, like befores and afters. And you could see that there's a ton of aging and a ton of breakdown of their bodies after a prolonged time of veganism. And when I looked at my before and afters, what I had thought was me looking good, me getting like higher cheekbones, me like losing weight, was actually just like looked more like emaciation and deterioration from that point of view when I started looking at it. So I was kind of like, okay, like maybe this isn't a good idea anymore. And plus I was just so tired. Again, I had never really done veganism for the ethical reasons. When I started it, it was really just health reasons. But I still don't eat factory farmed stuff. I still don't eat anything like that. So yeah, but basically, after like looking at myself and then kind of observing it, I was able to see if somebody had been vegan for a long time, and I could almost tell because they would get very pale. They lose the fullness like in their face. It would just get like really gaunt like around here. And I used to like hate my fat cheeks, but now I'm just like, I love them. You know, it's great. Another thing is, the hair loss, like very thin hair, and just like brain fog, like just not being like quick. And basically that's because cholesterol, our brains are made up of mainly cholesterol. And you cannot get cholesterol on a plant-based diet. You will not be able to get any cholesterol from plants, and you don't get a lot of fats. So it's a low-fat diet, which to a lot of people, they think about it and they're like, well, that's great, like low-fat, oh my god, yeah. Like, you know, because it's pushed to us so much. But low-fat is actually really bad because we need fats to function, and we need fats to think and to make sense and to be quick-witted, you know. Fats like run the brain, okay? So if you don't get those fats, it really affects your thinking, your thought process, and of course it ages you a lot because it's collagen, so that collagen breakdown is seen a lot in the skin. There's a lot of wrinkling that goes on. So I mean, I think that I'm gonna just put as the thumbnail my before and after vegan picture, so you guys can kind of like see, you know, how my face has really just kind of filled out from after I've been vegan, and how I feel like I was just looking very pale and just older. Another huge red flag that I had when I was being vegan is is that it was being pushed by the New World Order, quote unquote. Now I know a lot of you guys don't really believe in that type of thing, or might just throw it off as like a conspiracy theory. But basically there is an agenda 21, that has a plan to kind of make the world's population weaker and to kind of lessen the world's population, so to speak. And a lot of veganism is being pushed by governments. It's really been popularized. And a lot of celebrities like Beyonce, Kim Kardashian are promoting veganism heavily. And you can just see that so many people around you are going vegan, or at least going like plant-based, giving up dairy, giving up that type of thing in favor of like almond milk, or just wanting plant-based options. There's a lot more salad stores that are opening up and things like that. So that was a huge red flag for me. As somebody who looks into this type of thing, a lot of the times I was just kind of like, well, I don't know how much I trust an ideology that's being pushed so heavily. There's obviously a reason that it's being pushed, and it might not be a good reason. So that kind of made me question for a second if veganism was a good idea, and just kind of further reinforce that it might be more of a diet that's being pushed to promote infertility and things like that. Because a lot of people who go vegan, what you'll hear is that they were getting infertile. Now, I wasn't getting infertile, I still had my period, but I know that my period was a lot lighter, which everybody was saying like, that's good because you're detoxing out like all of your old like stuff in your uterus and things like that. And I was kind of like I believe it a little bit, but at the same time, like I wasn't about to just like lose my period and think it was okay, because that usually happens if you're underweight, you know, or losing nutrition. So I didn't lose it, but it did get a lot lighter. So I definitely believe that veganism is being pushed for a reason. There's a huge reason behind why people, they don't want people to eat meat. And if they do eat meat, it's going to be this like processed, like lab grown meat that like nobody wants, and it's just shit. So that was a huge red flag. Another thing that was a huge red flag is I'm a huge fan of Weston A Price. And you guys know this because I am a huge promoter of mewing and getting your jaw to be in the right place and getting a good wide dental palate. And a lot of that information was inspired by Weston A Price. Now, for those of you who don't know, Weston A Price is a dentist who went around the world in the early 1900s, and he found that tribes who were eating mainly a meat-based, raw meat, raw dairy diet were the healthiest tribes. And he also found that people who were eating processed sugar or like processed grains and like things like that are just like, you know, made in a store, when they started to get out of that tribal diet, they lost their health and their dental palates deteriorated heavily. So they started getting cavities and they started seeing a very thinning of the jaw, which again is not good because it's sloping of the jaw and it's not a good wide facial palate. So Weston A Price actually has a foundation called the Weston A Price Foundation, and they are extremely heavily into being carnivore diets. So I was thinking, you know, if I'm a huge fan of Weston A Price and all that he talks about, you know, is eating raw meat and how, you know, these tribes didn't eat many vegetables, they didn't sustain, there was no tribe that sustained on veganism. It just didn't make sense to continue being completely vegan. So I went out and I got some raw goat milk, and I found it from a farm, and I did it because it has a lot of benefits, like raw enzymes that help you digest things. And like raw dairy is so much better than like processed dairy. Like you don't want to be eating processed dairy under any circumstances, because what happens is when you heat dairy, you heat the fat molecules and that makes them actually toxic to you. So that is one thing that veganism gets right, is to not eat processed dairy ever under any circumstances. But I went out and I tried some raw goat milk, and it was absolutely amazing. Like my gut felt great afterwards. I was full of energy. I could digest it well. I drank the whole like quart in like 2 days, and it was amazing. So I definitely think that there's benefits there. And although I'm not a keto or like 100% carnivore or anything like that, and I don't really plan to be, because I just kind of believe right now in more of a balanced diet, but I am swaying towards mainly meat. Now, I want to talk about a little bit of the spiritual side of this, because I know that a lot of people are going to comment back and be like, well, meat is very low vibrational and meat promotes a more like dense aura and doesn't allow you to ascend. But for me, what I believe is that meat is actually more high vibrational because it comes from a living source, and animals have more life than plants, and it gives you a lot more energy to eat meat. And if your body can digest it, then you should be eating meat. But if you have a serious like issue in which you feel that you need to detox, or you're led to feeling like you should fast, you should definitely fast. So it's really intuitive. It's really all about what you are feeling. And I 100% do not support anything that's factory farmed or anything like that, because that's just 100% satanic and just not good. So just don't do anything like that. You know, never eat McDonald's still. That's still terrible for you. That's still crap. But it's really important that if any of you guys have been vegan for a long time, to really look at it, see, like, am I getting my period still? Do I find that my face is aging? Am I losing a lot of energy? You know, ask yourself these questions, because I think there is a time limit in which people can be vegan, because I really believe it's a fast. And I think that fasting is good because, again, it promotes autophagy, which is cellular regeneration, which is really good. But for too long, you start losing out like forever on those vitamins and minerals. And it's, you know, then you have to start getting them from a fat source. Now, a lot of you are also going to say, what about supplements, Megan? Did you supplement B12? Did you do this? Did you do that? Yes, I supplemented B12 all the time. I took it every day. And what the issue is with this, guys, is that B12 cannot be absorbed without fats, specifically animal fats. So if you don't have any animal fats and you're taking B12 or you're spending all this money on expensive vitamins like vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, whatever, you're spending all that money, you're wasting your money literally, because you're not going to be able to absorb those vitamins into you, because they're fat soluble vitamins. So I highly encourage you guys to Google that term, fat soluble vitamins, and look into that, because you are not going to absorb something with water as well as you're going to absorb it with a fat. And avocado does not count really. It's animal fats. That's high in cholesterol. That's fats. So even though I was taking B12, I was taking, you know, all these supplements, vitamin K, they weren't being absorbed into my body. So the only thing I was really getting in high intensity was vitamin C, because I was eating so much fruit, which isn't a bad thing. But again, it's a lot of just vitamin C, and it's not any protein. So I was just, yeah, I mean, what my conclusion, what I want to give you guys from this is, if you want to do temporary fasting, or you want to do temporary fruit fasting, or you want to do colon cleansing, or you want to do some type of detox, I highly recommend it, because I felt great in the beginning. It got rid of my eczema and it triggered autophagy in my body, which was really good, because I needed that at the time. But if you want to stay on that for your whole life, and you think that you can get everything you need from plants and fruits, I just have bad news for you. It's just not going to work. And there's just really not a lot of examples of long-term vegans. We can look at someone like Dr. McDougall, and he was, you know, he's been a long-term low-fat vegan, but he also has aged so much, and he is almost just incoherent to listen to. You can just tell that he's not getting enough cholesterol to have a coherent thought process for you to, for him to be healthy. He just is super, he looks very old for his age, which is like in his late 70s, I think, but he looks much older. So I would just encourage you guys to make your own informed decisions. You know, a lot of the time people go vegan and it's kind of more like a trends thing. I don't think you should do that under any circumstances. Your health is really important, and nobody should also guilt somebody for not being vegan, because there's a lot of reasons for this, but I guess the best one to bring up is that like farming of vegetables and things like that kills more animals than you would realize. Tractors and things like that, they run over so many field mice, so many animals, and it's just bad, because you're trying to say that you're saving all these animals, but you can never live a life where nothing dies. And I think that's the most ideal thing, is that vegans want to feel like they are saving the world and they aren't creating any death or destruction, but they're really ignoring the yin and the yang of life, which is that something has to die for something to live, and there's both dark and there's both light. And it's better to have that duality than to be an extremist on an extreme diet forever, because you're just going to create imbalances. And even in Chinese medicine and things like that, you'll create imbalances because fruit is very cooling and then meat is very heating, and you need to have that balance in your body. So I hope that makes sense for you guys, and I hope that you guys aren't too mad at me for my decisions on not being vegan anymore. I mean, I don't think that anybody's going to, you know, I don't think that anybody should guilt anyone for their personal health decisions, and I definitely don't promote veganism, and I haven't been promoting it since I've stopped being vegan, which is about a few months ago, probably like 6 months ago now that I've stopped being vegan. So yeah, I would encourage you guys to look into the things that I talked about, like Weston A Price, the vitamins. Look up Spherage on YouTube and look up Frank Tufano if you're interested in learning more about that. They're great sources. And just treat every meal with respect. okay, and try and not feel guilty about what you're eating, because that creates eating disorders basically. And I'm not saying veganism is an eating disorder by any means, but it can definitely go there, and it can definitely get too extreme if it's not kept in check. So I hope you guys enjoy this. And as a side note, if you could please follow my Instagram at MeganXRose. I have it linked in the bio down below. I would really appreciate that. And I'd also really appreciate if you guys could subscribe and support my channel. I'm going to be making more videos like this, and I'm going to be making a lot more videos about this if I get a lot of feedback for it. So definitely subscribe and stay tuned. And thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate every one of you, and have a wonderful day. All right.